guys, Jeremy here. I'm here with a special guest, Troy Dososky. Oh my goodness. What's up, man?
How we doing, Jeremy?
Dude, this isn't even like an interview. This is like talking to a friend. How you been, man? You're old.
Yeah, I'm getting old, but not as old as Michael King.
I mean, that is true. He's what, like 80 now?
I
Don't
think
tell,
I
don't tell him I said that though.
no, I think he played until he was like 73, so
Yeah,
like
yeah.
you're
You're,
84.
yeah, you might be right. Yeah. So, dude, speaking of Michael, tell me about your days with the Wave.
Well, the days with the Wave came after my days battling against the Wave when I was,
Yeah, interesting story.
when I was in Cleveland for 6 years, and that's where me and my brother Todd started out, and then they traded Todd a year and a half later to Milwaukee, and we battled against each other for 4.5 seasons.
Yep.
And then I remember I got the call. I think it was right before the season was about to start in 2001. Maybe it was the year 2000. And they said, you've been traded to Milwaukee for a goalkeeper, Jim Larkin. So, yeah, I had mixed emotions at the time. I knew Keith Tozer was the type of coach that had the guys going to the gym and doing extra and sweating
Yeah.
the
Yep.
details. I felt like there was two different ways of being in an organization. Milwaukee, who did more than every other team, and that way worked. And then Cleveland, who had Hector Marinero and Zoran Karic and Otto Orff and Tommy Tanner and
Yep.
Andy Schmetzer. It's like that way worked as well, where we didn't go to the gym, but we trained hard and we had a lot of skillful guys.
hmm So tell me what it was like to play against your brother Todd.
Uh, it was it was easy. I felt like I knew his every move. Um, I felt
Yeah.
like I felt like I won every battle against him. I think I megged him a few times and scored on Victor McGinn in the upper corner a few times.
Yeah.
Playing against your brother's tough. Um, it was weird, I'd say, the first 5 minutes, but then after that, we're both competitors. We've been competing against each other all the.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was just another day of on the soccer field competing against my brother.
What was that like for your mom having two boys playing against each other?
I mean, she was always proud of us. I know when Todd got traded to Milwaukee, she was excited because that was only a 5.5 hour car ride from Minnesota.
Yeah. Yep.
She usually cheered because we both have won 6 indoor championships in the Eastern Indoor Soccer League and the MISL,
Yeah.
NPSL. So I think she was always cheering for the one that had one less ring. I think
That
Milwaukee,
seems fair. Yeah.
Cleveland, we had won one the year before, and then Milwaukee bumped us out and won. So I think she was cheering for Milwaukee the one of the season.
hmm What was your favorite memory as a member of the Wave? Because I have like a million of them. You probably know that, but
Yeah, I mean, probably being reunited with my brother,
yeah,
winning
yeah,
a championship, being closer to home than Cleveland. Cleveland, you had to fly to from Minnesota, but being closer to home, where our sisters and our friends who didn't get
right.
to play a lot got to come see us play together. But
hmm
it, other than having kids, I'd say the championships. That's what you really set your goals out for. And at the end of the season, like any sport, only one team goes home winning their last game. So when
Right.
you game and you get to celebrate with guys like yourself in the hotel lobby after the games and uh
Yeah, I've seen a couple of those for sure.
yeah, those were the best moments. I mean, just winning the championship and feeling like you did your job and you did your job and you got it done. It was a tough work in those summer camps, knowing that
Oh,
maybe
yeah, absolutely, for sure.
you fell short, wondering what Keith Tozer's thinking. Is he going to rebuild this or that? But Keith Tozer was a great coach, and I always have good memories of him where he was loyal to his players.
Tell me a unique story involving Keith, because I have about a million of them, but I want to see what you say.
I would say it's a pretty extreme story, but we were
Oh
with the
boy.
we were playing with the U.S. national futsal teams, and we were in Brazil, and a totally packed flight. we just got settled in. I think me and Todd and Brett Phillips, Lee Tashantrant, we just fell asleep. And then all of a sudden, probably an hour into the flight, Keith Tozer's like, hey, guys, I need you back here right now. We kind of jump up like, what's going on? And we had a very disturbed passenger who was making threats and yelling out things. And I mean, it was probably
Really?
one of the craziest things ever. I think he was back trying to open up a door as we're in the air
Oh my goodness.
Sao Paulo. So I remember the pilot ended up coming back. We had a full female flight attendant crew, and so they were very thankful. So our team, me, Todd, Brett Phillips, the entire team, we went and moved some families up into our section in our seats.
Yeah.
The pilot came back, gave Keith like these like plastic handcuffs. He's telling us how to take this guy down. Fortunately, it turned out the guy had way too much to drink,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we ended up sitting him in the middle of our whole futsal team, the U.S. futsal team.
Right.
Guy just fell asleep. He fell off his seat a few times. We hoisted him back up
Oh,
there.
jeez.
You know, when you're getting woken up in the middle of the air after everything that had happened with 9/11, it was pretty freaky.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
having a team and seeing coach with the handcuffs, like, are we really going to have to do this? But
Right, right.
thankfully didn't have to do that. Yeah, I mean, many good stories with Keith. Most of them are all positive. He's
Most of them.
he's a hardworking guy, and what a great ambassador for the sport of soccer.
So, what's it like working with the futsal team?
I mean, you know, one thing is you see the women right now in the Women's World Cup with
Yeah,
former opponent Vlatko Andonovski
right.
running the team, and um, the futsal team is you don't train a lot together. You come into a camp.
Yeah,
I think that's one reason Keith Tozer used a lot of indoor guys, because we were in our seasons. We all kind of understood how to use the sole of your foot, but you basically get together and you go represent your country. So
right.
to go to Brazil 4 times and Spain, several other trips. I know Todd's been to China. To be able to go and represent your country, and then
Hmm.
when you're in the United States, you realize, wow, futsal is massive.
Right.
I mean, we played in front of, I don't even know how many people in front of Spain. And every time Todd and I touched the ball, the whole arena's yelling and screaming and booing us. And we like that.
Oh, absolutely. That's what you live for.
Yeah.
So, I know you've been doing some coaching. How's that going?
I mean, you know, obviously being a coach, you like coaching the high level kids. And
Mm-hmm.
the last year or two, I'm coaching my 12-year-old daughter's team, and it's challenging. Um, they're not state cup division 1 champions and this and that, so it's a lot of the
Yeah.
basic stuff. So you know you got to have a lot of patience, um, but getting able to coach your kids, as every coach, every player that I've ever played with, if you get the chance to coach your kids, which not a lot of clubs allow that anymore, but if you got the credentials, they'll allow it. So coaching my daughter, getting her to see, not missing her games, coaching everybody else's
Yeah.
kids is great.
Using my camera all the time. Yeah.
What's
I said using my camera all the time.
Yep.
Your buddy calls me all the time. Can I use your camera? Yeah. No, it's all good though, man. Anytime you need it. When you coming down to Arizona? That's what I
Well,
want to know.
that's what you want to know, but I think that Arizona tournament, it's hard to sell to parents when you're not winning a ton of games up here in Tennessee.
Well,
They'll
yeah, that is true.
fly to Arizona and spend thousands of dollars to go to Arizona now.
Yeah.
Give me another season or two of working with them, and I think we'll be ready to come see you.
Do you think you're making progress at least?
Oh, yeah. In youth soccer, I see so many coaches out there that do not make it fun for the kids.
Right.
At the end of a season, my 2 questions are, did you have fun and did you get better?
Yeah.
And if they can answer both those, then you've done your job as a coach.
Do you have indoor in Tennessee? Because I know we don't have indoor here in Arizona. I mean, we do, but we don't play games. We
Yeah, I would
just
say Tennessee's a little behind the times with futsal and indoor, but part of that
Mhm.
weather, kind of like Arizona. I mean, you can play soccer almost year round here, except
Right, right. Yeah,
January,
absolutely.
February. January, February, it's a little cold. It's not too cold for me, but I'm from Minnesota, so
I mean, you're from Minnesota, so how you feeling about those Vikings, man? You ready for the season?
I mean, I don't know if you've watched the Netflix The Quarterback,
Yes,
uh,
I have. Yep.
but
Yeah.
everybody didn't like Kirk Cousins before that. Really likes Kirk Cousins, and
Yeah.
I honestly think this is their year. They're going to win the Super Bowl.
Do I get to laugh at you when they don't?
Yeah, there's a good chance they're not going to. But Vikings fans always believe
I mean, yeah, that is true.
until about middle of the season, then we're like, yeah, they're not winning this.
I mean, if it makes you feel better, we don't have Aaron Rodgers anymore, so
But but a lot of people are looking down on the Packers for that. But look what's happened. They've groomed quarterbacks. They
I
sit
think,
quarterbacks behind the
yeah.
left the star, and then I mean if Jordan Love hasn't learned anything in 3 years to come out and be dominating like Favre and Rodgers, we'll find out soon enough. But
Have you been watching the World Cup?
oh yeah, I woke up at 1:45 in the morning the other day to watch the U.S. Portugal.
I was disappointed that that ended 0-0, to be honest.
Yeah, we got lucky, but you need a little luck on your side. And, a lot of people are really bashing Vlatko and the coaching staff and the commitment of the team. And I kind of think that that's unfair. They still are undefeated in the World Cup. They've
Yeah.
won one, two. Do you want to win every single game and destroy every single opponent? Well, they did 4, 8, 10 years ago, but I don't feel like the other countries were caught up to our skill level.
Well,
As you
that's what I was just going to say. I don't think that's the fault of Vlatko. I think that just proves that the women game is slowly evolving into something that, you know, we're not used to seeing over the years because you're right. For years, the U.S. destroyed opponents. It's just,
and
and now I think you're starting to see a different evolution where it's like teams are caught up to the U.S. I don't think that's any fault of Vlatko. I think Vlatko has done an amazing job considering most people didn't even know who Vlatko was unless you were familiar with indoor soccer. You had no idea who Vlatko was.
for sure. And I think you see this World Cup, you see players on other teams, they're able to dribble and spin out of tight situations and beat one or
Yeah.
two girls on the dribble. 4 years ago, you never saw that. You saw domination from pretty much start to finish in their games. And so I think it's great for the sport. I was asking somebody the other day, well, what if our men's team tied Portugal 0-0 at the World Cup?
That would
We'd
be a win. That
be
would be a win.
yeah, we'd be ecstatic. So it's
Absolutely.
cool to see the girls' game. Every time they play an opponent, the opponents bring in their best. They want to beat the Americans, the number one ranked team. So if you're playing a little flat, which we have, if our services aren't great, it's going to be a lot harder to get the job done.
Well, and I think you're seeing an evolution of U.S. soccer where you're not focusing on star power. You're bringing in a lot of these young women instead of using the older women. And so I think you're starting to see a transformation there where you're starting to see youth players start to play a lot more, like Rodman and stuff like that. So,
So can I ask you a couple of questions since it's your podcast?
I mean, listen, I knew you were going to, so yeah, go ahead.
So what do you enjoy coaching more, the women or the boys?
Actually, I'll be honest with you, I enjoy coaching the women more because I don't know, they're less arrogant. I'll put it to you that way. Like they don't think they're better than everybody else. And they have more of a willingness to learn. I love that because as a coach, that's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to make them want to learn something new. And I don't feel like some of the boys like to do that sometimes. I think they know everything and that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Second question for you here. So a lot of people
Is
around
this
the
a wave question? I feel like this is a wave question.
no, it's a question. So a lot of people that know Jeremy, that see Jeremy, they understand you're in a wheelchair and
Yeah.
you're a licensed soccer coach.
Yes,
And
sir.
and I think people probably always wonder but are afraid to ask the question like, so how do you coach? What are you doing? Are you going out there and you're riding around on the field? Are you pulling players aside individually? Like, how do you impact your teams and help out your buddy there? And what is Jeremy's coaching style? Um,
Um, a little bit of both, because obviously the guy that I grew up with was Keith, and he taught me if you have a mind, you can teach anybody. So a lot of times what I'll do is I'll pull kids aside and I'll be like, hey, listen, this is what you were doing, this is what I want you to do. Or I can just, freeze what they're doing, bring them all into a huddle and say, listen, this is what you're doing, this is what I want you to do, type of deal.
yep. Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, well, I
Yeah.
mean, we're so proud of you. You are such a
Hey,
passionate.
thanks, man. I
You are such
appreciate it.
a passionate soccer fan. When you said you were going to do a podcast, I'm like, I better be a guest on that podcast. So
You were one of the first people I thought of. Are you kidding me? I'm trying to get your brother on here too.
absolutely, yep.
Just
He's doing a
because,
lot. He's doing a lot more stuff. I mean, he's traveling with the youth national teams
yeah.
overseas and stuff, and um,
Actually, one of my goals is to bring Keith out of here because I'd love to have him as a guest. I know he's like VIP now, being the commissioner and all, but what do you think of that? What do you think of Keith being the commissioner of the Major Arena Soccer League?
I mean, I don't think you can ask for a better guy. I mean,
Nope,
you know over the years how he's just advocated for the sport.
absolutely.
Feel like you're playing one of the top four sports in the country, even if it was indoor soccer. He cares. He travels the world. He's connected. I think
Yeah.
he has a mindset on what rules work, what don't work. Um, yeah, how can you not have anybody better than Keith being a president of
What
the?
what would you like to see in order for the sport to grow? In order for the sport of indoor soccer to grow, what do you think needs to happen?
I mean, if people are going to pay money to go see soccer, they want to know who they're going to see.
Hmm.
So I see some sports on ESPN and Fox, and now there's Apple TV and all this stuff. I think it needs to be out in front of the public. When I was growing up, even if it was 1 in the morning, when I was growing up, I was watching Tattoo and Hector Marinero and Zoran Karic and the San Diego Sockers and the Minnesota. Like, if you
Yeah,
see TV and they're talking about the star players, I think that sells tickets. But
right.
have these leagues where players are playing here for a season or two and then going somewhere else. Like the Wave, we didn't lose players.
No.
Keith built the players up. The fans knew who they were going to see. I mean, me and Todd did some commercials. I think the marketing, a television, would be massive. I'm not sure how to
Yeah,
do that. Oh, they're doing some TV stuff, but like a bigger network, even if it's
yeah,
one of the worst times of the day, people have DVRs.
yeah.
Um, just get on there. I mean,
Well,
3 in the morning game, people might DVR it, and then you know who the
right.
Hector
And I
Marin.
mean, I don't know if you remember this, you probably do because I remember it quite well, but there was our championship game against the Cleveland Force was on ESPN. As a matter of fact, didn't you score the game-winning goal of that game? I think you did.
Yeah, I think that was the year I tore my ACL, so that was Todd. Todd
Okay, well, y'all look
scored.
alike, okay?
Yeah,
Y'all look alike.
he
But
is a
yeah,
very
I remember that year quite vividly. But yeah, I see what you're saying. I mean, I do think there needs to be something done so that, you know, the sport can be globally watched. And don't get me wrong, Twitch is a great platform, but let's be honest, how many people know about Twitch?
Yeah,
Not many people know about Twitch. I mean, if you ask people, like, do you know what Twitch is? They're like, no.
yeah. I think that's one thing Keith did too in Milwaukee back in the days. He put us out in front of the media. You
Yeah.
know, we were going on the morning shows in Milwaukee, and like I said, we did commercials. We were always at Summerfest. The appearances out in the public. I don't know if these other clubs. I only played for 2 clubs. Cleveland, we did some appearances, but not as much as Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Guys can make money, more money too. You get paid per appearance, and so I think they got to put the players out in the community more.
Right.
Uh, keep growing the game. It's an exciting game. And then maybe can you get a game of the week on? And when you have that game of the week on, can you talk about the other teams real quick and who the
Yeah.
star players
Yeah.
are? So
I'm gonna put you on the spot here, Troy. What's your favorite memory with me? Because we have a million of them. So I'm gonna put you on the spot.
I would say my favorite memory with you is it's a little over time. So seeing you when I got traded to Milwaukee, a part of Keith's kids, and then
Mm-hmm.
all
Mm-hmm.
the every event we're at, there's Jeremy around. Just knowing the game, knowing the players, being a Dososky fan, and then
Always.
you know being a Todd and Troy Dososky fan, and then we win the championship, and who do we celebrate with? You.
We celebrated what, 6 times, I think it was? Well, I have.
You have, yeah. I've won two in Milwaukee. I think Todd's won 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, just being able to celebrate with you and see a smile on your face. You haven't had the easiest life, but nobody would know that. But I know you're happiest when your boys are around you, your your
Yeah.
your your star players are around you, and they're celebrating with you. So being able to see you smile. I'll tell you another one. When I came to Arizona about 3 years ago,
For
who
the
did
tournament. Yeah. For the tournament.
I told you where I was going to be, and I'm starting to coach a game, and who shows up? You.
Yeah.
So it's been a great friendship. We'll be friends forever, and uh, really happy you're doing this and living out your dreams of coaching and starting a podcast and your
Yeah, man. I mean,
prediction.
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. The only guy that I have to thank for getting into coaching is Michael.
Yeah,
That
absolutely.
that was
Yeah.
that was the guy that got me here. I
Your
mean,
predictions kind of suck, and so does your coaching. Because I remember I beat you when you were with Kickers. You remember that?
well, okay, to be fair, that organization, they didn't give me much to work with, okay?
Yeah, there you go. Excuses.
Like, come play Arizona Soccer Club and see what happens.
Yep, for sure. No,
Yeah, yeah.
I'm just giving you a hard time.
No, man, you know what? That's the thing that people don't realize is like, just because I live in Arizona doesn't mean I don't support the wave. Like that would be a lifetime thing for me.
For sure. And,
It's
and wherever you live, you want those teams to do well too.
absolutely.
The better city. Because I thought I saw you cheering for the Phoenix Suns or something like that, and I saw you got some hearts.
Yeah, I was for sure.
Yep,
I mean, I'm not afraid to admit that I've become a little bit of a homer, but that's okay.
for sure.
I mean, we don't have MLS here, so we have the Phoenix Rising, so that's cool. I had tickets to that. One of my best memories, now that I think about it, do you remember when I was 16 and I was having back surgery and you were on, I believe it was, what was it, the Milwaukee Torrent?
Yeah. No,
Yeah, and,
Wave United, I think.
oh, yeah, 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 it was Wave
Yeah.
United, and you guys gave me a jersey before my surgery. That's one of my favorite memories that I have with you guys and Artie Kramer. And, I don't think people realize like how deep my roots go for Milwaukee. Like my roots are like huge when it comes to indoor in Milwaukee. It's so great to see Giuliano carry on that tradition. What have you thought about Giuliano as the coach of the Wave now? Because obviously you played for Keith, you didn't play for Jules, he was your teammate. So what do
I,
you think of him coaching?
I'm pretty proud of him. I think he's such a different personality than Keith.
Yeah,
My coach in Cleveland, Bruce Miller, such a different personality from Keith and Giuliano.
yeah,
Everybody's got their own way of doing things, and it's the true test is, do you get the players to buy into it? You
right,
know, and I feel Jules has carried on the tradition with the discipline, with the
yeah,
camps. Um, I think he's a player's coach. I think players like playing for him.
yeah.
And he's always had a good assistant coach, whether it was Cello or Tenzin Rampa. Um,
Well, and I'll be honest with you, the one thing that I worried about with Giuliano was, is he going to be able to convey himself as the badass, so to speak, when he needs to? That's what I was worried about with him,
I
because he's so soft spoken, and so I was like, well, how is that going to translate to the X's and O's? But yeah, he's done remarkably well.
Yeah, I know Jules wishes he had a couple more championships, and it looks like just
Yeah,
from along a little bit, looks like they're bringing in a few more players that have some talent. But Jules is Jules. He's not going to change for anybody.
yeah,
But
no,
the
absolutely.
one of his biggest accomplishments is he won a youth national championship on the youth
Yep,
side.
I
I
saw that. Yeah, that.
remember asking Giuliano, I was like, "So what was tougher, winning a professional championship or the youth?" And he said, I honestly believe winning a youth championship is way more teams and a way tougher thing to climb. I kind of agree with him. I mean, that was impressive winning the youth national
Well,
championship.
I mean, not only that, but you're dealing with kids, and it's so hard going from regionals to nationals and being able to win that. It's just a great achievement, and I think the formation of Wave, what's it called? What's the youth organization? I think it's called SC
That's,
Wave or something like that. The formation of that has been really, really remarkable. Ian Bennett's done really well. I mean, it's been great. So it's great to see youth soccer in Wisconsin continue to grow. Here in Arizona, it's huge too. So I think youth soccer is really important, and I'd like to see it continue to grow. And it's people like Giuliano that are making that happen. So that's great.
yeah, no, it's such a small world. I got a text from Ryan the other day. Ryan Max sent a video in of one of our pregame locker room speeches where I said a few things. Then Ian Bennett said his thing, and Ryan Max said something funny. So just once in a great while, getting a text or keeping up with some of the guys that you went
Right?
to.
Right?
I hate when they say you went to battle with, because the battle's for the military, and I feel like we played a game. I really hate when pro sports people say we're going to battle, and I'm like, you're playing a game. It's
Well,
not a
I
battle.
mean, at the end of the day, I'll use this guy as a perfect example because he really is a perfect example. On the field, people hated John Ball. They hated him. But off the field, like, he was the nicest guy in the world. He would go to the bar with you and sing with you for hours and talk to you. It's not a battle. It's playing a game for a couple of hours, and after that, you're friends.
The only battle John Ball had, I lived with him for 5 years, was when he got lippy and I'd stuff him in the couch cushion and he had to try to find his way out of there.
I could see that. Do you know what Johnny B is up to now? I haven't heard from Johnny B in years.
Yeah, I talked to him a couple months ago. He's working a normal job, living a life, just I'm not sure if he's still coaching or not, but I think he, his kids are both playing soccer, and
Yeah,
uh, his kids are both playing soccer. And after playing in Cleveland, he ended up living in Cleveland, and he's doing good.
right. Well, and it's interesting because the Cleveland tradition has kind of tied into Milwaukee because Jim Larkin is the goalkeeper coach there now, and I still don't know how that ended up to be, but it's great to see Jimmy in Milwaukee because it
Yeah,
used to
that's
be.
that. That's how I got that. So I played 6 years for Cleveland, and then Otto Orff was getting up there in age, and so Jim was an all-star keeper. I was an all-star that year, the year before, and then I got traded to Milwaukee for Jim Larkin because Milwaukee already had Victor Nogueira and Dan Green,
Yeah.
and that was before Vorberg got there and stuff. So
Yep.
me and Jim got traded for each other, and then we brought him back to play with us in the summer. I don't know if Jim ever played for the Wave, but he played for the Wave United.
He played for the Wave for a season, if I remember correctly. I
I
might
thought,
be wrong
I
about that.
thought we, yeah, I thought we had Vorberg and Dan Green. I don't think we ever saw Jim Larkin.
Maybe
Uh,
not. Maybe
he,
not.
he played outdoor with us, and yeah,
Now, obviously, when you played, the seasons were what, 40 games, if I remember correctly? 20
rookie
home.
rookie season, it was a 44 game regular season,
Yeah, 22 home, 22 away.
and then you'd play the best of three, best of five, best of seven.
Now, if obviously you're a fan of the game, would you like to see that come back, or do you like the whole golden goal thing? Because I don't like the whole golden goal thing, to be
I'm not,
honest.
not a fan of the golden goal. I think all of a sudden you put the work in all season long, and you get unlucky, and then you lose. I
I
think
mean,
the true better team wins in a series of 5 games or 7 games. Um,
I
is,
mean,
is
I,
fans? I'm
I,
sorry.
yeah, I actually have to correct myself because they don't do the golden goal now. They do the 1 15-minute mini game thing.
Yeah,
But even that, I don't like that either because what if you have a bad 15 minutes?
yeah. I mean,
Like,
it kind of says, is there not money there to make it a best of three and play a third game back at somebody else's building? I know there's scheduling conflicts, this and that, but I'd love to see them go back to a third game, at
do
least
you
a game.
do you see the league growing with Keith as the commissioner of the league? Like, do you see it expanding to several teams?
I mean, you know the answer to that, absolutely.
Yeah, that I do too. I mean, I would love to see the old teams that we used to have. Like, I would love to see Cleveland come back into the NASL. I'd love to see Buffalo come back. All the old teams that we were used to. I
Yeah,
would love to see that come back, but it's so hard to get indoor teams to come into this league because it is a money thing. And let's face it, there's not that much money in the sport of indoor soccer.
yeah. I mean, for a certain few years there when I was playing, it was like, if you're a rookie coming in, I hope your parents got some good money because you're here out a little bit. So I
Yeah,
think
absolutely.
guys, I think that's what the fans like as well. Though they know these guys aren't making millions of dollars and even hundreds of thousands of dollars. They're making it and they're playing it because they love it. A lot
Yeah.
of guys still they love the life here in America. Um, so there's a lot of sacrifice to be a pro.
One of the things that I said to Eric yesterday is one of the reasons that the MASL is so unique is because of the accessibility of the players and the ability to do things like this. Do you think that's something that makes our league unique?
I mean, not just unique, but I think it has to happen.
Yeah,
Uh, has to happen. I mean, that's the one way we talked about earlier, marketing the players. Well, the players have to market themselves
yeah,
everywhere they
absolutely.
should be wearing their team gear out in public. I think
Yeah.
as much as you can market and be around people to try to get them to come and bring their family to see you play is the only way the league's going to survive.
So do you watch the games? Like, do you follow the season?
I usually watch a couple games a year. I usually like with most sports now, with a family and kids and pets and traveling and sons in baseball.
Absolutely.
Usually I'll pick out a big game or two or a playoff game, but I once a week I'm checking the stats on who's on top. I'm checking the scoring list and seeing how Ian's
Yeah,
doing.
I mean, I keep up with it just because I have to do the picks, and I'd like to think my picks are pretty good, but other people might say otherwise. But hey, man, I want to thank you for doing this. I really appreciate this. It's been fantastic, and hopefully I can get your brother on and see what he has to say about you.
For sure. Thanks for having me as one of your first guests. And I'm always a big supporter of you. And if you need anything, let me know, buddy.
Oh, I will. Thanks, buddy. Take care.
You too. See ya.
Bye bye.